to have. It's kind of a dying art. And archery, 22 rifle, shotgun, and a couple of others on smaller disciplines. They just got done with their state shoot.
Oh, wow.
Last weekend, we had some of our young folks place very well in that state competition. But, it does cost money to operate a group like that. And
actually, quite a bit,
I would imagine. It does. And each of these counties that host these shoots on the weekends, there's registration fees that these kids go to compete and learn the discipline, but it costs money.
Right.
And we try to make that where it does not cost the children anything to go to these shoots where they get to enjoy. We a lot of volunteerism, and we could not do this without our volunteers, and we sure appreciate those. And this is one of our important fundraisers of the year. And who doesn't like country ham?
Well, if they do, I probably don't talk to them very often. So.
I tell you what, you can solve a lot of problems and soothe some wounds over a good old country ham breakfast.
Oh, well, when you talk about a country breakfast by country kids that are out there shooting and they made this is the ham from the 4-H'ers.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes.
So it's gonna be good. These are hams that have been through competition. That's how good these 4-H'ers know how to make a ham.
That's right. That's right. And y'all mentioned that on Saturday morning, September the 14th, starting at 7 a.m., there at the Extension office, we will have a great menu with, like I said, the country ham cured by our 4-H'ers. We'll have pancakes, biscuit gravy, sausage, scrambled eggs. I think I saw a couple of cases of bacon, even that we're going to supplement that also. And
bacon's better. Everything's better with bacon.
This meal is free, but we would like donations.
Sure.
If you could come help support these kids, they will be there serving and keeping folks' coffee cup and orange juice cup filled up. And a lot of fellowship. Last year we had a great time. The community really turned out and supported that. And I heard nothing but good compliments on our cooks, and especially the ham. Something about a ham that's cured local.
There's no doubt
something special about it. Something special about it. So come out on Saturday, starting at 7 a.m., enjoy the fellowship and see these kids that have worked hard all year on these disciplines of shooting, and just support them.
Yeah, that's a great event, and like you said, Shane, kids have worked hard on these hams. They've been to state competition. They've done their speeches on them, and to get to finally savor some of it and to share that with the public and let the folks know, what goes into all of it and just how good it tastes. And like you said, there's a lot of problems to be solved over good country ham, and that's a good one, and it's a great thing to get up on a Saturday morning and just go find you a hearty breakfast.
Right. I love this, though, because they're really teaching the kids the right way to go about it, and there's a lot of safety that goes along with it. And if your kid is going to be involved in it, wonderful. But let's get them involved the right way, the safe way from the very beginning.
And we're all the time looking for volunteers. The volunteers that are at
that too. Now that I think about it, that's great.
That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, the adults. Yeah, this is the coaches that
do it.
To make sure that that's done safe. And the orientation program is aside from that. The kids then go through a couple of hour orientation that here's the do's and don'ts, and the safety record of our group is very well. Our kids are respectful, parents are respectful, and they go out, they have fun, but they're learning something at the same time.
Well, I like it because I know, most of us, all of us here had parents and grandparents that took us and showed us the right way to do it, and was really careful that we knew growing up. And not all kids had that, sadly.
That's correct.
I mean, they don't have that. And that's something that, we were pretty fortunate and blessed to have. And if these kids don't have, this is a really important program, I think.
We enjoy it. My kids have been in since they've been old enough to, and I like the discipline that it teaches, the procedure.
Right.
If we don't have procedures, if we don't have that rigid rules to go by, problems can occur. So that's good. Now, we do talk about some things that I get calls on every year.
Uh-oh.
When I get calls, and I'm getting several about a topic, I try to talk about it on the radio.
I love that. I was sorry to say I didn't cause any of those this week, did I?
Not this time.
I mean, last week I might have, but this week I was a good girl, Shane. I really was.
Well, we do this time of year as our season is getting a little drier. It's been a good while since we've had a good rain, and like your weather forecast, it's not looking favorable.
Right.
The drier season affects our woody landscape plants, and people take their woody landscape plants fairly serious. And when we hear that something's wrong with it, oh, what am I going to do? Let's call the extension office.
And he looks at me when he says that, by the way.
Which that is how it's supposed to work, and that's exactly what we're there for. But a lot of these calls that I do get, it is weather related.
Right.
And folks do not necessarily like to hear that. They want a good, solid reason that what is wrong with my plant? Did this bug eat it? Is it a disease or what? But a lot of times, it is just dry weather.
Well, and even down to the bugs, sometimes the dry weather can cause the type of bug that's actually on it at the time, right?
Pattern and frequency and amounts of rainfall are important components to plant health, and 70 to 90% of plant mass is water.
Oh, wow.
70 to 90%. And growth, photosynthesis, the manufacture of food, nutrient transport, all related to how much water that those roots can uptake. And driving force to the transplant of water is a vigorous growing plant. So if it gets stressed, it has that much more trouble when it does rain to uptake that. So as you're explaining about those symptoms that affects the drought, the symptoms that we see outwardly can look like chemical damage. It can look like there's several things that it can look like, from wilting of the leaves to leaf scorch. That's a lot of the ones we see.
Because water can even scorch the leaves, right?
Well, the lack of it scorch also, as that stuff is drying out. Leaf drop. This time of year, we'll see some trees completely just drop their leaves early. Root loss that we're not seeing. Most of that water transportation is happening in the top 12 to 15 inches of soil on very small, tender roots. All fibrous roots.
So not the big ones.
So not the big ones. Huh. The big ones are there mainly for support, to hold it to, so the bulk of that water transport. So when you think about dry weather coming in, and we get really dry weather, which we're fairly well in really dry weather, those fibrous roots start to die. They shut down, and it takes that much longer. If they're not completely dead, when water does come, it's like, oh, there's something here. I think I need to do something, but I'm not really remembering what I'm supposed to do, and it takes a while for that to recover. Dieback. We'll see whole sections of a tree that will die. That's the plant's defense mechanism saying, well, I can't support this side of the tree. I'm going to keep this part alive, and we're just going to let that one go. The other thing that this drought is doing that we see next year, and I see stuff from droughts last year that are showing up this year, increased susceptibility to disease and insects. When I go up to a tree, that's one of the first things that I look at is the bark. The bark tells you a whole lot of what's going on, is how long that tree has been stressed. If it's stressed this year, bark should look fine. It's not going to have insect holes, not going to have woodpecker drill holes in it. But if it has been damaged a year or two, we're still seeing stuff from 2009 from the ice storm.
We do. That's something that when we go in and we start seeing a lot of trees all at once drop on the fence. And that's, as when you're talking about a drought, that's one of those things that we always see. And my dad talks about that a lot, is that, of course, he can remember, I think he remembers every tree that's anywhere placed on the farm. But, he's like, well, that one had a lot of damage during the ice storm, and that's what a lot of that is. And, of course, he's got the green thumb in the family, so, he's the one that understands that. But when you talk about the ice storm damage, we really need to pay attention to that, too, because, those are what your widowmakers and those sorts of things. We're in hunting season, so when we talk about that, the condition of the trees that we're in out there hunting makes a big difference, right?
It does, and, folks out in the woods, we're not thinking about it as much as we're thinking about the landscape tree that means something to you, that you planted the year you built your home. It's in your landscape, and there's something wrong with my tree. And I hate to go to some of these older trees that are showing signs still from the ice storm. You can still see some effects of that, but just year after year of stress, and some of those trees are starting to die. And I hate to have to tell folks, you might want to think about a replacement and make sure that this is safe. And it's a costly, for a large tree to get it cut down and removed, that's a costly thing. So one other thing that stress that we see is a couple of years later is, well, my tree's not growing like it did. Well, that's a defense mechanism also, is a loss of next year's growth. If it is that stressed, cannot transport enough nutrients and water, it's not going to grow.
Right.
So, we may see it die, but we also may just see it sit there and sustain itself for several years. So, effects of short-term drought, after the soil moisture is replenished, the stomata can take a long time to reopen. So delaying adequate exchange of gases and production of carbohydrates. Stressed trees may also direct energetic resources to production of seeds or cones rather than growth, or vice versa.
Gotcha.
We might not see that fruit tree bear fruit the next year if it's super duper stressed. So it can be either way. In long-term drought periods of repeated or extreme drought, plants may suffer long-term effects and tissue loss. I looked at a large tree a couple of weeks ago that multiple factors involved in this, probably a historic tree. I mean, it's one of them oak trees that was here probably when Columbus come across. It was a humongous tree, and it just was so sad to look that half of that tree is gone. So what are we going to...
I had one at my house that we used to talk about, the little Indians playing underneath. And, I mean, it was that old. I mean, it was just huge. It was that old. And, when, even when Bobby Joe came out, he's like, I just hate to touch it.
Yeah.
But it had gotten so dangerous that we were scared that it was going to either hit the house because it was so big, or you didn't park anywhere in my driveway, because that thing could reach it. So, I mean, those are really dangerous. And no matter, I saved a slice out of it. If somebody has to get rid of a tree that they just love, that's kind of a family heirloom, that's something that's been around forever, like you were talking about, save a slice out of it. Don't risk your family and your belongings. Save a slice out of it.
Well, and it is this time of year, so if folks do have something going on with their trees, they kind of like to know what it is. Give us a call. We'll check it out. We'll turn a sample in and kind of see what's going on. It's just kind of detective work, Ty.
Did you ever think back in the spring and summer that we'd be talking about a dry period?
I knew we would.
Yeah, and this is the time of year when we would. Besides our ornamental bushes, trees, landscapes, some of the trees around our yard, what kind of stresses are out there right now on farmers and
Well,
crops?
pastures are very stressed right now. We have the rain that we had, it was a week and a half ago, probably saved some. I've seen a lot of hay rolls already setting out for our cattle producers. Pasture is getting stressed. Most of our field crops, especially our corn, I'd say 90% of it's probably made and okay. Tobacco looks the best it's looked all year. We was talking about that early. Tobacco loves a little drier.
Soybeans. I was noticing the soybeans yesterday on my way home from work yesterday, and there's several. I've seen, I live out in the boonies, so I'll admit I see a lot of it. But I've also seen a lot of it look good this year.
Overall, I think crops do as harvest goes along. I'm always anxious to hear what things are doing because, you look at a field that was stressed early because of the wet, and you're like, man, how can that possibly come out of that? Plants are fairly resilient. We can have too much water. We can have not enough water. It's just what that plant can sustain to get, a valuable production back. So, we still have a lot of soybeans, especially our double crop, that really need some rain. So about 30% of our soybean crop is a little bit stressed right now.
Well, I'll tell you something I did see on the way home over at Trimble Farms that I was happy to see. Of course, he's right there on the road when I go home from work. But the pumpkins are turning color, and I was like, hey, I know what that means. Pumpkin pie is on, and cooler temperatures maybe are on the little horizon for us to look forward to. Well, and because one of the things we were talking about, in our house, and I imagine a lot of other people's houses is, let's hope that everybody's got their hay good and dry, because when it's this hot and you've got, I still see people putting up hay.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time of year.
There'll still be some more, a lot of that hay cut for the second cutting was delayed because of this little dry weather, and a lot more is going to be put up. I think overall hay storage stocks are decent right now, and as long as we don't have a really horrible winter or have to feed hay right now, most folks should have enough hay. As folks are calling, it's not being too hard to find hay with folks that's looking for it. So still quite a bit more to be put up.
I will say it's a bumper year for broom sage.
It's always
it's doing well this year, isn't it?
Shane Bogel's here is our agent for conservation agriculture out at the UK Extension Office here in Princeton. If you've heard some information that Shane was discussing about the dry seasons and our ornamental woody plants, then give him a call out there, 365-2787. Shane will be glad to help you out with that if you have any questions. And, of course, Shane, a lot of equipment still out on the roads for our farmers. So,
it's
again,
just starting.
It's just getting started
easy,
good.
And be patient out there, because I know I was in Hopkinsville yesterday coming home and got behind several tractors out on 91. So just let them do their thing and be patient and just enjoy the country air.
Just remember that farmer's feeding about 130 people.
Yeah.
Well, something I heard is, why don't they just get over? What people don't understand is a lot of these back roads, there is not very much shoulder. On our road, I mean, I speak for Shane Bogel and I, we live literally right down the road from each other. But if you drop a tire off the edge of the road, that tractor is going to be gone too. And the fact of the matter is, those tractors can be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, that farmer then would have to replace that, and then you're looking for somebody else to feed your family, because we've got to be careful. We've got to be patient. These farmers, I promise you, are not trying to be mean. They're not trying to hold you up. They're not trying to be dangerous whatsoever. They just want to get it done and go home. They don't
get
want
home
to be
safe
out
to
either.
their family.
That's right. So have some patience, huh?
Thank you, Shane. We appreciate it. And again, the 4-H Sharpshooter Breakfast is this Saturday from 7 to 10:30 at the UK Extension Office. Go out and get some breakfast and support the Caldwell County 4-H Sharpshooters. I guarantee it's going to be great.
Yes.
Remind him of that phone number, too, because you're a fantastic guy to call. I promise you he'll answer the phone no matter what.
270-365-2787.
All right. Thanks so much, Shane Bogel with the Caldwell County Extension Office. And again, if you've got any agriculture questions or homemaker questions or any kind of question, really, I promise you the Extension Office has somebody to talk to, or they can send you to somebody who knows, one or the other. Between Ashley White and Joni, Shane, I don't know how you ever have anybody that calls that doesn't have an answer. And Rhonda Jewell. We love them. Hey, it is 8:23, and speaking of questions answered, Shane will actually be interested in part of this, the next person we have coming in. And because I don't tell anybody, but we're going to talk about a little bit about armadillos, too. I bet you've seen one recently.
I've seen a few.
8:23. Stick around. Caldwell County Medical Center is next. 1580 103.3 WPKY.
See y'all. Thank you.
Let's think about customization presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. So why aren't more things in life customizable? Like, why do I have to pay a full gym membership when I don't even use all the equipment? Like the rowing machine. I don't know about you, but I'm not doing a ton of manual lake travel these days.
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Equal Housing Insurer.
Did you know that when you buy 5 cups of freshly brewed McCafe Premium Roast Coffee with the McDonald's app, you get the next one free? Think of it as your reward for all the times you held the door open for a stranger. Let someone merge when you were running late. Or liked one of your aunt's posts on social media, even though you had no idea what she was talking about. So, enjoy your free 6th cup of McCafe coffee with McCafe Rewards and keep the good going. McCafe. Good is brewing. Valid at participating McDonald's through December 29th. McDonald's app download and registration required.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors & More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors & More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. Quality brands, excellent customer service, combined with 40 years experience is why they say you can walk on our reputation. See Bill and Lucy at Perry's Floors & More, 127 West Market Street, Princeton.
Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop for delicious homemade goodness. Hancock's makes their own fresh chicken salad, pimento cheese, salads, and a variety of mouthwatering desserts, sure to please your entire family. While at Hancock's, be sure to visit their meat department for the best selection of USDA choice meats in the area. Hancock's Neighborhood Market in Cadiz, hometown homemade goodness, and the Hancock name you know and trust for quality for your family. Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz.
Are you struggling to afford health care or medications? Let Health First help you. Whether you're insured, uninsured, or underinsured, you will still be cared for at Health First Community Health Center. We offer financial and prescription assistance to all those that qualify, which is based on income and household size. Contact our office for more information at 365-9455 or visit our website. Same-day appointments and walk-ins are always welcome. Located at 1100 South Jefferson Street in Princeton. At Health First, your health is our first concern.
For a delicious meal, try Kay's Kitchen in Princeton. They have great home cooking, just like Mom and Grandma used to do. Enjoy cook-to-order breakfast every day, all day. Daily lunch specials include favorites like open-faced roast beef, grilled chicken tenderloins, country fried steak, smoked pork chops, and catfish and shrimp on Fridays. All your favorite veggies, too. And don't forget Kay's homemade desserts. Open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 2, Friday, 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, 5:30 to 11. Kay's Kitchen, 501 North Jefferson Street, Princeton, 1 block from the courthouse.
It's all at your fingertips now at WPKYOnline.com. Local video, local news, local sports, local weather information, and of course, contests. Plus, you can listen to us on your smart device. Just click the Listen Now button. We've made it easier to find your favorite information. WPKYOnline.com.
1580 103.3 WPKY, Tess and Ty and Coffee Talk and 827. I will tell you, I did jump the gun just a little bit, but it's only because I love her to death. Miss Deborah is with us from the Caldwell County Medical Center, and she is a nurse practitioner. I'm sorry, Miss Debbie Stovall. You do have a last name, right? I don't know why. I always forget that. I saw her at Walmart the other day, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? She was in the aisle next to me, so I love it when I see them. But we're not going to do the armadillo thing today. It's coming, though, so we're going to tease them with it. It's coming soon, and it's creepy, so just hang out with us for that. Things you don't want to think about, but oddly, they're true. I am told leprosy's curable, though. That's one thing that I want to throw out there. We won't scare the pants off of you without telling you that it's not curable. But anyway, you're here to talk about vaping today, right?
Yes, it's a hot topic right now. Just about every news station has something on it. Even the Today Show this morning has a segment on it talking about the kids that they've got that have got some mysterious lung disease all of a sudden that they've linked to vaping.
It's scary when they start talking about kids dying. I mean, that's when it really kind of hits you that, look, this is a real thing. This isn't as safe as maybe, some of us thought it was in the beginning.
Well, the scariest thing about the whole thing is the kids and the people who are vaping right now, they are the test group. There are actually no studies on vaping, so they really don't know what the long-term ramifications are that are associated with it. Right. They don't know what it's going to cause to the body or what it's going to harm in the body because there just isn't enough information.
Well, and that's the variables are so far out there. We were in the car yesterday traveling a lot. But one of the conversations come up because we knew that you were coming in today. And it's like, but there's so many different types and so many different flavors and so many things you can put in them. And then if you're comparing them to a cigarette and which is worse or what's going on with that, well, it's the same thing. There's varied degrees. There's, different kinds. There's, it's hard to compare the two. And I don't know that you really ever could successfully other than just to tell people what the statistics were separately and they can choose.
Well, there's not a lot of statistics. That's going back to there's not a lot of research. And even, the three main sources that we use is the World Health Organization, NIH, which is National Health Institute. I may have those backwards. And the CDC. And they'll tell you, every single article I read, more research is required. They just don't know. Now, several years ago when they first came out, they were being marketed a lot towards help yourself quit smoking by vaping. Because they thought it was a healthy alternative. But actually, it's a more concentrated set of chemicals and nicotine than actually smoking.
Well, see, a lot of people, including, it was going on in my car, that said, this is the healthy alternative to smoking if you're a smoker. And I was like, I don't think so.
No.
And here's the other concern. They might not even be a smoker. It's just the cool thing to do for these kids. So let's talk about that.
Well, the flavors. It's got birthday cake.
So let's go there. First of all, if you're a parent, I'm sure you're just like, I'm hearing all this stuff. What can we do to keep our kids kind of away from this stuff? It's everywhere, and I'm sure all the cool kids are doing it.
Well, there's a lot of kids doing it. I don't necessarily think that it's just the cool kids. It's a lot of kids. And as a parent, you need to know the facts, familiarize yourself with the devices, what they look like, what they do, what type of chemicals that they put in them. It's not just nicotine anymore. You can buy cartridges with THC in it. So they're getting marijuana.
Those are available as well?
Not here in Kentucky, but you can go in bordering states where it's free, or not free, but legal.
Oh, wow.
You can buy that.
Oh.
And a lot of people are. It is here in Princeton. I have seen it. So, but anyway, have conversations with your children and talk with them and see what they think about it and, find out information. But have these conversations on topic in a non-judgmental, very safe environment type situation. Don't make your child feel like they're on trial or anything
Right.
and have to justify their belief. Just ask them. Just have a conversation with
I
them.
will admit, I have seen
Yeah.
at different functions around the county, I've seen young people using
Right.
the vaping.
Yeah.
And I don't think I thought, I didn't think, oh, well, that's a great idea. But I don't think you look at it a lot of times as negatively as if they had a cigarette in their hand sometimes.
That usually stems from just not knowing
No,
what they're
that
dealing
absolutely
with. Because it's not as offensive in odor.
Right.
So therefore they think, well, that's not as bad. And then they don't actually see them holding a cigarette in their hand. So without knowing what they're actually putting into their body, they think, well, at least it's not a real cigarette.
Right.
So you have to become knowledgeable. You have to read and you have to learn. Search out credible resources and find out what is going on with these things.
Do you think the kids really know how dangerous they are either? I mean, is this something that they really know? If we don't, they couldn't know for sure either.
I don't think so. I don't think the kids do know because they see a lot of the same thing we do. And again, there's not a lot of statistical information out there to present to anybody to say, hey, this is why you don't do it because this is what's going to happen.
I used to always kind of simplify it with my kids. In the fact that if it's not naturally supposed to be there, it probably shouldn't be there.
Right.
If it's not, it's something that you breathe in oxygen all day long, but breathing in smoke intentionally, whether it's cigarettes, that's not natural.
No.
And so the same thing, you have whether they say, well, it's just water vapor. But
that's what I've
what
talked to people lately, knowing this was coming. I asked a few people yesterday, what do you think is in a vape? What do you think is in these things? And the number one thing that everybody said was flavoring and water. That's all that is, or flavoring and nicotine, right?
There's glycerin and
it's all
vegetable
natural,
oils
right?
and stuff like that.
There's oils, there's chemicals, there's several different ingredients that's in them that you wouldn't realize it's in them that are not safe.
Well, and the perception is just not there, and I don't know why. And the cleanliness of a lot of these too, the things that they're putting liquid into, do these not need to be sterilized? And I mean, even the hygiene of it, does it not have to go through all of that too? Like a breathing machine would? Because I guarantee you these kids are not out sterilizing anything at their young age.
Now there are some devices that you can what they call drip into. It makes a more concentrated vapor, a lot more cloud with it, and some people really like that for show. But most of the little cartridges come in already filled cartridges. So that would go back to the manufacturer, whether they're held to a higher standard on whenever they do prepare those.
How can we identify these things? I've seen some of them that kind of look like robots.
Yeah.
they're size of a standard pack of cigarettes with a big tube out of it, and you see
some of them look like a cigarette.
You see some that look like an ink pen. You see some that are square, rectangular.
Right.
So there's all kinds of different ways that these things can be concealed.
And
put somewhere.
some of them actually look like a zip drive. Or
do they really?
Yes.
I haven't seen those.
Yes. And I don't remember. Now I'm going to tell how old I am, but do you guys remember mechanical pencils?
Yes.
Whenever you got the refill of lead and it come in that little plastic tube?
Right.
Some of them actually look like that.
No way.
And then like cigars, there's some, they come in so many different.
How do parents find these things and even know that their kid's doing it? If I saw that laying around or stuck in a bag, or as a teacher, if I see it, laying on somebody's desk, I wouldn't think twice about that.
Unless you're familiar with it, and again, unless you have dug in there and tried to find out information about it, it's easy to not recognize it. I have to admit, I'm guilty of that. I have seen them laying around before and didn't realize what it was.
That's frightening as a mama. And I'm sure Ty as a daddy, and you as a mama. It's one of those things that you feel I feel like a slacker now because I had no idea. I'm looking for these giant, well, for lack of a better word, bong-looking things.
Yes, no.
That's what I'm looking for.
No.
Cheech and Chong from the 70s. That's what I'm looking for. When I'm looking for paraphernalia and, my daughter and my son. I've got a house full of teeny boppers now. And I would like to think they are smarter than that, but hey.
And that, I believe, would fall under the category of a hookah, and that's
I have
one
no
of the
idea.
terms.
I call it a Cheech and Chong bong. I don't
yeah,
know.
you know, there's
Well, they've got water involved with
right,
it.
there, and that's it. Again, it's heated, it creates a vapor, and so on and so forth. And that's another thing. I mean, you need to realize that there's a cartridge or a reservoir that holds the serum that they're smoking, and then a heating element. And then you have a power source that heats, gets the heat going, and then you have the mouthpiece. So there's different components of the little device that is all working in conjunction with each other.
Oh, what could go wrong there?
Yeah.
My mouth is on the ground. You should see these live feeds, I guess, because my mouth is literally hanging open because I'm shocked.
And every once in a while, unfortunately, you hear stories about these things
They
burning up,
malfunction.
exploding,
Yes.
malfunctioning. So you not only do you have the danger of the stuff that you're inhaling, then you have the potentiality
of very serious burns,
of a
losing
burn.
teeth because it blows up in your mouth, etc. Yes.
Well, if you were thinking about it, now that I think about it, if we were really and truly using the common sense part of our brain, we should know that it's more than just water if it explodes.
Well, that's why we've never seen the kazoo go electric.
Right.
No, nobody plays an electric kazoo.
I'm with you.
So it's because you got to stick a battery
No,
in it or something.
I'm with you.
But really, there are. It's hard to detect when our kids have these devices. But I think the most important thing is you don't know where you get the stuff you put in it,
Exactly.
and they all contain different.
And
kind
how
of things.
regulated
and
is
how
it?
regulated it is. That's
Right.
the big thing. Is that these whatever they
Right.
the flavored liquids or whatever they have. They all have a little bit different ingredient. We don't know exactly what all those ingredients is. And like you said, this is the early stages of this because the CDC and World Health Organization and all these organizations are still researching and trying to figure all this out.
Right,
Are there regulations where they have to tell you the ingredients? Like on a thing of bread, they have to show you the ingredients. Is that the same way? I mean, are they regulated?
Anything that's regulated by the FDA has to list the components that are and the ingredients that is in the makeup. Okay. But it all goes back to how federally regulated this stuff is and what type of checkpoints does it have to meet to go into a package.
Well, I know that my kid would probably, hookah, that's been around forever. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I mean, is that the same thing?
Hookah is one that they use, and also a hookah pen. There's e-cigarettes, vape pens, vapes, and then mods. The mods are the little squares.
Yeah, it's its own kind of thing.
Right.
How can we? What are some of the signs we can tell that our kids or teenagers or someone is doing this a lot, and we may not know it for sure without actually seeing some of the pins or some of the stuff that go along with it? What are some of the outward signs?
You need to go online or find information somewhere and begin to identify the objects that they use for this type of thing, like for vaping. They need to become familiar with what they look like. And if you'll Google it and pull up images, they'll show you everything under the sun that falls under that category. Also, you need to watch for if your child has a debit card or if they have access to a credit card. Start watching their purchases to see what they've bought and where they've bought it, and then ask questions if you're kind of curious about it. And also scents. I had an experience where I was riding with somebody and I was like, what is that smell? And I was told that it was a car freshener. It was not a car freshener. It was a vape pen that had been used shortly before I got in.
Good?
It smelled fruity. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've smelled some. They smell good.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. And there's a kind of long-running joke on the internet right now that says, I thought I was smelling donuts cooking. I went around the corner and it's 3 guys vaping.
Aww.
They're very deceiving, the scent that you get with them.
Well, and that's, I guarantee, why kids like them so much. Not only do if they taste like that and they smell like that, but if they're hard to detect when you're a parent, I mean, that's got teenager written all over it.
Right. There are some side effects from it, though, and smoking also, which there's health issues. But then also liquid that they're inhaling, it has a tendency to dry out the mucus lining of the nose, and they will be more prone to nosebleeds.
Okay.
So, there's an easy fix for that. Quit, one, but also you can use a saline solution like Ocean or Air. That's 2 nasal sprays that you can use to re-moisturize that lining to keep it from bleeding. But also, sometimes you'll notice that they cut back on their caffeine intake because they get sensitized to the caffeine and they don't need as much. So
now I wonder why.
Is
it just something that's in it?
The pleasure center is replacing with the nicotine, where it did have caffeine. Now it has nicotine.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, and it messes.
So that's something else. If it's giving them the same sensation and possibly waking them up and giving them more energy, then that just gives them another reason to want to do it.
Well, I don't know so much about energy, but it's like smoking. It satisfies a need that they have. And then that's also another thing. There will be some changes in behavior and things you need to watch and be aware of.
Especially like maybe over the weekend, if it's addictive, which it sounds like it is. Over the weekend,
is.
When you're home and they're home, and suddenly they get in a really bad mood until they come home from school again, that could be a sign, right?
Well, that could just be teenage hormones too.
Well, no, that's true too at my house.
If they're moody and then they go outside and they come back and they're in a better mood, what happened outside?
There you go.
Well, tell us, Deborah, how Caldwell Medical Associates can help us with this problem and issues. If we see anything that we feel like we need to discuss with our kids or maybe get them checked out.
They can come in for regular checkups, and there are screening things that we do, checkpoints with the kids whenever they come in, especially like the 5th going into 6th grade. There's questions that we asked about specific topics, and this is one of them. But also just coming in yearly, we're going to ask, certain things like, do you smoke, do you drink, do you use recreational drugs? Now, that's in a confidential situation, but that provides us an avenue to be able to present them with positive information, so that they can become knowledgeable on the topic and understand what the possibilities of adverse effects to their body is. We'll be glad to have appointments with parents. If a parent has questions and they've looked on the internet and they're not able to find satisfactory information for them, come to us. We'll help you with that, and we'll explain what to watch for, things, topics, and credible sources to go to look for the information that they need.
I'll tell you, when my husband first stopped smoking, and it was right after a heart attack, it was for a really good reason that he stopped. But that was one of the things that he immediately said was, hey, maybe I could do this and it would help me to quit, Now, he didn't, because his cardiologist, thank God, said, no, not a good idea, not a good idea. And I'm glad that he listened and he was able to do it cold turkey, no problem.
Right.
So that was fantastic. But it was something that actually drew him in immediately until he figured out, hey, wait a minute, that's a bad idea. What do we do? What can we, and don't get me wrong, I would love for parents, when these kids come home today, make them watch this today. We'll have our live feed on WPKY online at .com, I guess, not at Gmail, but .com. But what are some resources that you can just really kind of hit it home with these kids that it's a bad idea?
The 3 credible resources that we use as healthcare professionals is the World Health Organization, NIH, and CDC. I mentioned those earlier.
Yeah. Right.
But those are the definitive go-to credible sources that we use, and they have anything you want. All you have to do is go to the search bar, type in what you're looking for, and it'll bring up article after article after article. And I think, as anybody that does this, that they will also notice in each and every single article it says more research is necessary,
right,
because they just don't know how bad this is. And unfortunately, again, whoever is out there that's vaping today, they're the test subject.
You're the rat.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly.
Well, and see, I think what bothers me is a lot of it. I've heard it in the last couple of, I told you, I've asked a bunch of questions of people, and I guess that's one of those things where before somebody comes in, I kind of want to gauge
people. Well, that's
people.
how you learn.
But I've asked around, and there's people that say, look, if 5 people die in the entire country, is it really that dangerous? Well, that's people that we can prove was because of that. That doesn't mean, it takes a lot to make that proof, right? So, I mean, as far as symptoms and that sort of thing, the more research that we do, the more we're going to find exactly how many things that we can attribute to that.
But that's also why the cases that we're hearing about, it keeps saying unknown lung disease, because they just don't know. They don't have it. The FDA regulates what age groups can be tested and be in test markets or drug trials and so on and so forth. Usually the really young, anybody who's in their growing up years and development years, or pregnant females.
Gotcha.
No testing in that area. So where is this falling? You're not hearing about senior citizens vaping.
What about secondhand?
You know,
is there anything about that?
There's no studies. There's nothing. Now we know for a fact that cigarette smoke secondhand is just as bad, if not worse, than firsthand smoke, and also thirdhand smoke.
Well, when you think about it, if the smell is still there later when somebody else gets in your car, something's staying around. That thing it's got
There's
some
leftovers.
secondhand something.
Yeah. Yes, but what it does to anybody that's exposed to it, they just don't know.
Wow.
A lot of great information. Deborah Stovall, you can find out more by getting in touch with the Caldwell Medical Associates. Of course, the Internal Medicine and Pediatrics Clinic at 320 Macbeth Drive in Princeton, 365-3433. And you're out there to help and assist if anybody has any questions.
Yes. We cannot thank you enough. Anytime we ask her, we say, look, this is all over in the news. We need to get some clarity on this. Help us out. You are always more than happy to come in and help us, and we really do appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you having me out.
I like it because you can put it in words I understand. And
it's important.
It's
important to get information that is easily understood so that you can apply it and know what you're dealing with.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
You're
so
very
much.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Hey, I'll tell you, I see a Roy Jean Rogers waiting in the wings, so we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with him. It's Coffee Talk and Tess and Ty in 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Customization presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Liberty Mutual customizes your auto insurance so you only pay for what you need. So why aren't more things in life customizable? Like, why do I have to pay a full gym membership when I don't even use all the equipment? Like the rowing machine. I don't know about you, but I'm not doing a ton of manual lake travel these days.
Go to libertymutual.com for a customized quote and you could save.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Equal Housing Insurer.
Did you know that when you buy 5 cups of freshly brewed McCafe premium roast coffee with the McDonald's app, you get the next one free? Think of it as your reward for all the times you held the door open for a stranger. Let someone merge when you were running late. Or liked one of your aunt's posts on social media, even though you had no idea what she was talking about. So, enjoy your free 6th cup of McCafe coffee with McCafe Rewards and keep the good going. McCafe. Good is brewing. Valid at participating McDonald's through December 29th. McDonald's app download and registration required.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
Well, sunshine is in the forecast, and it looks like it's pretty well going to stay there for the majority of the week anyway. High of 92 today and tomorrow. Now tonight's low is going to reach all the way down to 70. Then on your football Friday, sunshine again with a high of 90. Hopefully it'll cool off just a little bit for football Friday kickoff time for the Caldwell County Tigers. Next chance of rain looks like going to be on Monday night for the next real shot anyway. Sunny and 92 today. It's 72 at 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Treasures Remembered.
Mark Patrick Hypnosis is coming to Hopkinsville on September 12th for one day only. Lose weight or stop smoking now through hypnosis. Join the over 500,000 people who have stopped smoking and lost weight the Mark Patrick way. That's right. Join America's best-known hypnotist, Mark Patrick. Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar is Thursday, September 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Stop Smoking Hypnosis Seminar is from 8 to 10 p.m. Both are at the Holiday Inn Hotel, 2910 Fort Campbell Boulevard. Registration starts 30 minutes prior to sessions. Seating is limited, so get there early to reserve your spot. For only $49.99, attend these life-changing programs and learn how the power of hypnosis can help achieve your goal to lose weight or stop smoking without any willpower. 100% guaranteed. So whether you need to lose weight or want to stop smoking, join Mark Patrick Hypnosis Thursday, September 12th at the Holiday Inn Hotel, 2910 Fort Campbell Boulevard. Doors open 30 minutes prior to seminars. Go to markpatrickseminars.com.
1580 103.3 WPKY. And of course, we always love it when he's here. It's Roy Gene Rogers from the Optimist Club. Ty, I bet he's got all kinds of information for us.
Well, we just are just so thankful. We just wrapped up a successful Black Patch here in Princeton, Black Patch Heritage Festival. Many people involved. It's a whole community effort. Roy Gene Rogers here, a long-time Optimist member, former president, has held every office in the club, Caldwell County historian extraordinaire, but just wanted to come in and sort of do a little wrap and a big thank you to the entire community for this year's Heritage
We've
Festival.
discussed this, and at the club meeting last night, we've got a lot of people to thank. We're not going to do it individually because we would leave someone out, but I'm going to take my optimist hat off now and put on my citizen hat. And I want to thank you and George Kilgore for going through and doing what you did as far as assigning booths. People don't realize the complication that goes into that. You got a taste of it this year. And we've already looked at making some changes for next year. Again, if you've got a suggestion out there for us, we're willing to listen to it, and if it's something that we can work with and do, we'll be glad to do it. If not, then we'll explain to you why we can't. I mean, one of the things that you and George have dealt with is people saying, well, I'm going to bring a crock pot, and we end up with 3. But again, it's a community effort. I want to thank all the members of the Optimist Club. Everyone was up there on the streets, marking the streets off. Saturday morning we were there, making sure people got to their booths. But next year, 50th year, and we're going to be working on some things for that 50th year.
Hopefully do it up right. And again, as we mentioned, it's about our community. It's our heritage. What an incredible, nice weekend from the parade, our grand marshals, Judy Bowes, Dot McConnell, and then all the way through the evening on Saturday. Again, tremendous thanks to the entire community comes together. Again, we can't mention them all individually, but for coming to mind, of course, the city and county officials, our public works, WCA, just a bunch of
guys. They deserve a lot of credit.
Just
for what
stuff
they
behind
do.
the scenes that gets done. And of course, WPKY, their involvement.
That's a given. We appreciate the parade coverage that y'all gave us. The community, and then being there all day Saturday, I feel like enhanced our crowd. Mm-hmm. People were listening to the radio, and they said, "Oh, well, I'm going to go down there and see what's going on." And we had visitors. I talked to people from 14 different counties, and we had people from out of state there as well. And a lot of people came back from homecoming. Just a great weekend. I hope we can duplicate it next year.
And thanks to all. And as we turn toward Black Patch this year, we had our catalog full of information about the Heritage Festival sales. So.
That was amazing, by the way. I don't know whose genius that was to put the trivia in the book, but that has been one of the most talked about things, I think, with Black Patch over a long period of time.
Saturday night, 6 o'clock, Genealogy Library, we're going to reveal some of those questions. Now, some of those questions are easy, some are difficult. And we've got 35 door prizes. Brooksy Gardner, one of our members, has gone out. I think she's getting 3 more today. I mean, we're talking about nice ones, too. We're no gift certificates. So we're going to have door prizes. We're going to reveal those answers on Saturday night starting at 6 o'clock. So please make plans to be with us.
That's at the Genealogy
34 door. I think that's wonderful.
Yep.
Yeah, Brooksy and Dave Gardner went out. And pretty much rustled those door prizes up to go along with those trivia questions.
I mean, we're talking about $25 gift certificates from some of the better restaurants around here. A $25 gift certificate from Ackridge Farm Supply. I mean, we can just go on down the list. They're worth. They've done an excellent job doing that.
My favorite question was about the faces down there. How many faces were looking at you down there when you're at the square? That was my favorite because over the years, I'm one of those people that just love architecture. And so I've paid attention to them, but I didn't know how many. Roy Jean, what's your favorite question as far as the question and what you learned about it from the book this year?
One of the most difficult questions would be the structure of the windows on some of our stores. They're down there. If
and
you
why?
look, yes, and why you have them in the front and the back, and why they are
maybe
curved like they are. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And that one we will reveal Saturday night.
Ty, what about you? Because you're Optimist
Well,
Club.
I think the big thing was that's a very interesting question. I love all the old historical questions about maybe who was the first black patch queen and stuff like that. But really, we have to thank the Fredonia Valley Historical Society, the Caldwell County Historical Society,
Rick Blackburn.
Rick Blackburn. Several folks came together to put that question pool together for it. So that was just a great idea. I think several people spearheaded that, led by Roy Jean. So 6 o'clock at the Genealogy Library, and we don't have that much time. Of course, Roy Jean Rogers, long time. He is a historian. He's also a former government and history teacher at Caldwell County High School. Today's 9/11.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, get your perspective on that, because
I can remember, as most of you can, where I was at. I was in the classroom 402 there at Caldwell County High School. Miss Patty Yancey came in and whispered, that maybe I needed to turn the television on. Something was going on, so we did. And I know the classes the rest of the day, we watched what was going on. And I'll never forget Mr. Henry Smith, one of my all-time favorite individuals. He came in at lunch, as he did a lot, and he said, "Let's pray." And we did. And that is something that we had better never take out of our history books and, never forget, because that was an incident in American history that needs to be relived, not for the tragedy that it brought, but for the fact that it brought this nation together like it had never been brought together before.
And that's my next question, because it did, and it was 18 years ago.
Yes.
But yet now, 18 years ago, we soon forget.
Yes.
We almost seem to be more divided than we've ever been.
Well, I would say so. I mean, honestly, I used to teach that there's going to be another civil war, and we are almost to that point. We are divided more today than I think we have ever been. I mean, I can go back. I don't even think the Civil War had us divided as much as today on different issues. So thank y'all. We again, let's thank all those individuals that helped us with that Black Patch Festival.
Very much so. And
I want to thank both of you too, because I think Ty tries to downplay how much work that he put into it.
Ty put a lot of work into
I
it.
watched how much work he, and he really put it. Yes, you did. Don't shake your head.
Yep.
Don't lie to people, Ty. I'm going to tattle. He actually did a lot of work, and we really do appreciate that from the WPKY standpoint of it, because he worked from it here and on the side too, and we really appreciate it. I want him to know that we recognize that as well, and I know the Optimist Club does.
Right, and like I said, I took my Optimist hat off and went my citizen hat to thank Ty and George. They sat there for 2-3 hours at a time trying to put those booths together, and a lot of people don't realize you just can't say, well, you go in here, you're going here. There's electrical issues that have to be addressed, and it takes a lot of planning. I'd say that probably 15-20 hours of planning goes into just getting the people on the street.
Well, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that it was the best Black Patch ever in its entire history, but I will go out on a limb and say that is the best from start to finish, whether it be from the parade and the grand marshals who kicked it off, the whole thing, because they were the most interesting ladies. I love both of them. And then you go all the way through the weekend to the vendors and the amount of vendors and the people that showed up early in the morning all day long. I mean, we were just inundated. And I think for my memory, that was the best attended, the best, that's just from start to finish. Kudos, the best Black Patch I can remember since I was a kid.
I've been there 50 years.
Yes.
And David Wallace was on the air Saturday, and he mentioned that when we first started, I mean, I worked for the 4-H when the Civitan had it, so we had booths. And the petting zoo was right around the courthouse. Everything was right around the courthouse in Scotty's Corner. Definitely this year, I mean, our population has grown, but this was definitely the best one that I have ever been to.
Well, again, thanks to George Kilgore. It was my first year with the involvement of actually really involved with some of the planning aspects of it. But again, my George is just a tremendous help as far as that was concerned. I lost my train of thought, but
well, again, we go back. If you've got suggestions,
yes, we want to hear them.
We want to hear them.
Yeah,
and you know what? The sponsors for all the events that happened all day long. I mean, we had a lot of terrific events of different sponsored things that come in. That was wonderful.
And all the sponsors of our broadcast
here.
Right.
Yes.
But it's very satisfying. Many of us went down the street and talked to our vendors, and they had it. They all had a good day and a wonderful day. And when you're hearing that, it's very satisfying. Not everybody, we had very few, but
But when you have over 120 vendors, you're going to have one or two or three or four that are not going to have a good day. Right. So that's to be expected.
And everybody was there. That's what I loved about it. We were talking about attendance at sporting events and that sort of thing. When a community comes out in droves, and it's from the elected officials to the kids to the elderly to just about everybody, they wanted to eat there. They wanted to stay there all day. They wanted to shop there. They knew everything that was there until they found something else that they didn't know. And the community really made that a success.
One quick point is brought to our attention that late Saturday night, a lot of our restaurants, a lot of our, like Casey's over here across the street, they were packed.
Yeah.
So not only did people spend money at the Black Patch Festival, they spent money here in Princeton with our restaurants, with our service stations, and so we had a good
Wesley
day.
Curtis. I don't want to leave without saying thank you to Wesley Curtis, because him and the gospel concert that he worked so hard on was wonderful.
Yep, and my wife Molly helped me a lot.
Oh yeah, I was going to say we better not leave Molly out.
She toiled through some of that stuff with me right there with me.
I think she just sent me a text and said, "You remind
Ty."
Okay.
But really, a community effort. Thanks to everyone, and Roy Jean, thank you. It's been a wonderful, wonderful event. We look forward to next year. So
hey, thanks so much to everybody that was a part of it, from the Optimist Club to the community to WPKY. We sure love you and appreciate you. It's Tess and Ty and Coffee Talk, 1580 103.3 WPKY Princeton.